Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm just going to get rid of the waiting room so other people can join and come and go as you need for today. Well, it is good to have you all of here today. Today is our last day in September, focusing on our theme of balance. So just a quick introduction. My name is Kelsey, and I'm a mental health therapist in Washington State. I do a lot of somatic therapy, and I'm also a yoga instructor. And so in this class, I combine mental health and yoga techniques um, over your lunch break. So you can eat and then join the class, and then eat, whatever you need to do to take a little bit of a break for your day today. As always, you want to make yourself comfortable. We're going to start with meditation and then do some type of seated flow for those of us who are at our desk and don't have space in our office to do a whole flow. And then the last part of today's class will be on the mat for a 30-minute yoga flow. As I mentioned, we're working on the theme of balance today. We've been working with balance for all of September, and we focused on building awareness of our different energy bodies and where we want to find a balance in our life. And today, what we're going to be doing to kind of close up the session for balance is finding balance between our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Hard to say that 3 times fast. Now, a lot of us are probably familiar since mental health has become pretty popular these days, and a lot of the terminology has become pretty popular. We're pretty familiar with what those words might mean. But at their simplest level, what we're going to be balancing today is the part of us that is the rest and digest system, kind of a relaxation state, with the part of us that is a more active, sometimes thought of as the fight or flight state, but also the part of us that has action and pursuit and does things in the world. So finding balance between those two things. One of the easiest ways and maybe most efficient ways to find balance between our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system is through our breath. And so today I will be teaching a few different breath techniques, one to help balance, one to help activate, and one to help downregulate our nervous system, which will lead us into October, where we're going to be learning a lot more different somatic tools. So if you haven't already, go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable seat. You can take your shoes off if you need to and you haven't done so, and wiggle your toes if it's appropriate in your work setting. And just begin to feel whatever is supporting you. If you're sitting on a chair, if you are choosing to sit on the floor, just begin to notice the things that are in contact with your body, feeling the weight of your body, and the rise and fall of your natural breath. We're all coming into today's session from a different place. Some of us might have come from a work meeting. Some of us might have just rolled out of bed and are just beginning our workday. And with that, our breath is all going to be different right now. Our heartbeat is all going to be different right now. So the invitation is just to begin to build some awareness of what you're coming to this space with. What's going on in your mind as you sit here? What's going on in your body? Where is the part of you that's holding a little bit of tension? Where are the parts of your body that you're able to breathe into with ease? And if you closed your eyes, go ahead and open them for a moment. The breathing exercise that we're going to be doing today is alternate nostril breathing. So, in the yogic tradition that I was a part of for my yoga teacher training, I was taught that the left nostril is the parasympathetic nostril. So when we end breathing out of our left nostril, ooh, words are tricky for me today, then we're down regulating our nervous system. And when we end our breathing practice on our right nostril, we're activating our sympathetic nervous system. And so that might be something that would keep you more awake or energized. So whether you're needing some more rest right now to come down after your morning workday, or you're wanting more activation to come up from your morning work and reinvigorate you for the rest of the afternoon, you can decide which nostril you end on with the practice. The actual practice looks like this. I'm going to use my right hand because it's my dominant hand, but you can use either hand. You're going to be using your thumb and your middle finger. So you can, without making that seem to the camera, you'll be placing your thumb on your right nostril and your middle finger on your left nostril. And so you can just begin to practice getting into position. Your other fingers are curled in, they're not resting on your mouth, they're just gently there. So once you find a good flow of how that feels in your body, we're going to start by pressing in on the soft, squishy part of our nostril, on the cartilage there. And we're going to breathe out through our left nostril. Breathe in through our left nostril. And then switch fingers. So release the grip on your thumb, close your left nostril with your middle finger, and exhale through your right nostril. Inhale through your right nostril. And again, switch fingers, closing down the right nostril to exhale through the left nostril. Breathing in through the left nostril, closing off your left nostril with your middle finger. Breathing out through the right nostril, in through the right nostril, and then switching to the opposite side. I'll let my voice stop guiding so you can drop into this practice. You might notice that one nostril is easier and more clear to breathe out of than the other nostril, which is a normal and natural thing. Our body switches the dominant nostril throughout the day. But it's also a good check-in to begin to notice if your left nostril is easier to breathe out of. Maybe you are in more of a calm state. If your right nostril is easier to breathe out of, maybe you are in more of an energized state. Continue breathing. And as you breathe in through your left nostril, you can imagine cultivating this life-sustaining processes, cultivating rest, cultivating digestion. And you, as you breathe in and out through your left nostril, you can imagine cultivating energy, cultivating movement, cultivating strength, and cultivating that desire to fight, that desire to run, and just letting that be okay in your nervous system. Alternating between the two. Switching on the inhale. And deciding for your practice today, which nostril do you want to end on? A reminder that ending with your left nostril open on an exhale cultivates rest. Ending on your right nostril on an exhale cultivates energy and energizing. Make your choice. And when you're ready, you can release your hand and release that breathing practice. See what it's like to breathe through both nostrils again. Maybe take a big stretch as you breathe. And I'm going to slide my little chair here back. I'll still teach 2 more breathing exercises, but we're going to add in a little bit of movement as we do this. So if you need to and you're at your desk, go ahead and slide back from your desk. Give yourself a little bit more space to begin to move. And as we always do for our warm-ups, we're going to just begin by adding some rolls into our movement to warm up our joints so that they're ready to do our standing flow and practice. So go ahead and tuck your chin to your chest. Take a few breaths here and gently roll your chin to the sky, opening through the chest, and then gently rolling your chin, tucking it back to your chest. Inhaling, raising your chin to the sky. Exhaling, tucking that chin down back in. Begin to widen your movement, rounding through your upper back. Tucking your chin to your chest on an exhale, rounding your spine down and in. Creating a little back bend as you inhale to the sky. You can use your hands on your knees to support you through this movement. And exhaling to a neutral spine. Let's bring some movement into our wrists as we roll them in circles. You can roll them in opposite directions, same directions. Bring some movement to your fingers. And reach your arms wide in both directions. Go ahead and inhale your right hand up and over as your left hand drops down. Remember, all of these seated ones can be done in a chair too, so no need to come down to the floor. Exhale, spread those arms to the opposite side. This time we're leaning to the right, gazing up through our left arm. Inhale, both your arms up. Exhale, bend at the elbows, cactusing your arms out. Imagining a string on your elbows, pulling your arms together behind you, creating opening through the chest, strengthening those upper back muscles. And go ahead and exhale those arms down. If you're seated, you'll keep your right leg bent as it is, and you'll bring your left ankle up over your right knee. If you are on the floor, you can straighten your right leg long. Go ahead and pull your right toes up towards your chest. Create some length in your spine. Exhale, release your toes. Let those drop down to a natural position. Place your right hand on your left knee, left arm behind you as you gaze over your left shoulder, creating a little twist here. Breathe in to lengthen through the spine. Exhale to deepen that twist. And untwisting, finding your way back to neutral. We're going to switch legs here. Our left leg is going to go long, or if you're seated in a chair, just keep it on the floor. Right ankle is going to reach over your left knee. First, we're going to inhale, flex our left toes. Exhale, release the tension in the toes. Left hand goes over your right knee as your right hand reaches back. Gaze is over your right shoulder. When you're ready, untwisting here. Go ahead and if you're seated on the floor, stretch your legs out long. If you're seated in a chair, you can just have your feet on the floor. We're going to inhale our arms up. Exhale, wherever you're seated, reach down towards your toes. And coming back up to a neutral seated position. So the next breathing practice that I'm going to teach you is for activating the nervous system. So if you don't want to have your nervous system activated right now, you don't want to engage in building heat and energy in your body, then I invite you just to place your hands on your knees and engage in awareness and tuning to your breath as it naturally wants to breathe. If you want to follow along for a sympathetic breath practice, find yourself in a comfortable seat. Bring your awareness, and you can also bring a hand if you want, to your abdomen. So we're looking just right below our belly button, maybe an inch or two below our belly button. Begin by breathing in, pressing into your hand. Exhaling through the mouth. We're going to tense our navel, draw it into our spine, sucking it away from our hand, and our hand is gently going to follow. Again, breathing into the belly. Exhaling, sucking that part of your navel into your spine. We're breathing in through our nose, exhaling through our mouth. Creating this tension around our navel is what they call an abdominal lock. We'll be doing this in a rapid pace in order to build that heat, build that intensity, and build that fire. With this, our inhale is an active inhale, so in through the nose, pressing out with your belly. Exhaling through your mouth, squeezing those abdominals. Your exhale is going to be passive. So we're focusing on breathing in and putting all of our force and energy into breathing in. And our exhale, we're just going to let our lungs empty without any force. And so it's going to happen pretty fast, and it looks like this. All right, I needed to reset. I got a lot of air in on that one. And I think we're actually going to be sucking our abs in as we breathe in. That's some of what helps create that active inhale. So starting with a normal, natural breath, and then we'll engage in this all together. And inhaling on 3, 2, 1. Keep going. Good job. All right, let's take a pause there. Take a normal long breath. And just notice what's happening in your nervous system, what's happening in your body. My body got pretty hot. I'm already starting to sweat a little bit in my chest. This breath practice you can come back to at any point today if you want to. You can do it for a longer amount of time. We're just going to try a little sampler of it today. We're going to repeat our stretches and then we're going to do a down regulating breath to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. So this time we're going to drop our ear to our left shoulder and just let our side neck open up a little bit. Taking our head up through the center, dropping our ear to our right shoulder. Up through the center, maybe adding in a dropping of your left shoulder on the left side. Up through center, dropping right ear to right shoulder, maybe letting that shoulder drop to create more stretch in the left side body. And moving back and forth, adding in your breath, seeing now if you can exaggerate the movement here. Beautiful. And coming back through to center, we're going to inhale our arms up. Exhale, bending at the elbows, cactusing our arms out. Inhaling our arms up. Repeating our twist. So this time, keeping your legs where they are. Twisting to the left side, looking over that left shoulder. Inhaling our arms up, exhaling, twisting over to the right side this time. Inhaling, arms up. Let's straighten our legs out long again. If you are seated in a chair, you're just going to keep your feet on the floor. We're going to lift our right ankle over our left knee. And we're going to add in some ankle rolls here, bringing in some movement to our toes, to our ankles, waking up our feet a little bit. Go ahead and plant that leg back on the ground. Lift your left ankle over top of your right knee and begin again with some ankle rolls. You can flex your toe, point your toe, turn it to the left, to the right. Great. All right, go ahead and put that leg back down long. We're going to do our forward fold one more time. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, reaching towards your toes. Making your way back to that seated, comfortable position. Neutral spine, your chin parallel to the floor, ears above your shoulders. For our parasympathetic breath, one thing we can be aware of in the balancing of these two systems is generally on an inhale, we're activating our sympathetic nervous system. That's a part of why when we do the really fast abdominal breathing, we're focusing so much on that inhale. It's activating our nervous system. And we can think in the opposite way that exhaling is activating or awakening our restful system, our parasympathetic nervous system. So for this breath, we'll be focusing on lengthening our exhale. And I just want to start by again noticing where your breath is. If you prefer the sympathetic nervous system today, you can practice that breath again right now. or you can choose just to build awareness, or you can follow along. And so I'll start by counting and adding on each time we count to the exhale. So we're going to inhale to the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for a moment. Exhale for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for a moment. Inhale for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale for the count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. Inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and return to your natural breath. However long you want to inhale, see if you can add just one more count to your exhales. We naturally have a variable heart rate. Our heart rate increases a little bit when we inhale and decreases a little bit when we exhale. Beautiful. You can go ahead and release your breathing practice. Just let the practice of breathing come to the back of your mind. Let it be an afterthought. We're going to move to our standing flow on our mat today. So if you need to transition, move any chairs, scooch out from your desk, maybe return to work now, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to put my chair off to the side here. All right, and today we're going to stand at the top of our mat. Let's see, I'll make this side the top of my mat today. And I'm going to face you just so you can see what I'm doing, but you can stay facing the top of your mat for today. Find a good, strong mountain pose. So in mountain pose, you're pressing down into the earth with all 4 corners of your feet, palms to the front, knees stacked over hips, or knees stacked over ankles, hips over knees, shoulders over hips. We're going to continue to add in this breathing, raising our hands on an inhale, lowering our hands on an exhale, raising on the inhale, lowering on the exhale. And as we're bringing in this idea of balance, we're going to slowly begin to lift up our right heel on the inhale, lower it on the exhale. Lift up our left heel on the inhale, lower it on the exhale. If the balance is available for you today, you can pick up that right foot on your inhale, plant it back down on the exhale. Pick up that left foot on the inhale, plant it back down on the exhale. Beautiful. All right, keep going through this movement, finding your balance, finding your flow. And go ahead and plant both feet back down on the mat. We're going to fold forward into our forward fold for the day. Go ahead and interlock your hands on opposite elbows and just let your arms hang here for a little bit. Belly resting on your upper thighs. Breathe and let gravity unwind your spine. Release your hands. Inhale for a halfway lift, hands on shin or knees as you lengthen through your spine. Exhale to bend in the knees till your hands meet the mat. We're going to be sending our right leg back to come into a runner's lunge. Our back heel is lifted. Our hands are on the inside of our left foot here. Take a breath. And when you're ready, you can drop down your back knee so that it's meeting the mat. Untuck those toes and sink those hips down into a low lunge here. You have the option to stay here in this low lunge or to push yourself, add a little bit of stretch and drop down onto your forearms in lizard pose. Make sure you're listening to your body and not overdoing any stretches here. Tuck that back toe back under. Lift your back knee and hips as you send your left leg back to meet your right, coming into downward dog. Today we have two options for a flow. One is a strength building, sympathetic, activating flow. And one is a restful, more contemplative, reflective flow. So as we transition, I'll demonstrate the two options here. Our first option, just so you can have the option if you want to do the restful one, would be to drop down into child's pose, untuck your toes, sink back on your hips, rest your head on the mat and come into child's pose. To get out of it, you would press up into tabletop, untuck those toes, lift those heels, and come back into downward dog. If you're wanting to build some strength today, create more energy, we'll be moving through a downward dog spinal roll. So what that looks like here is rounding through your upper back, through your spine as you drop your hips. When your hips reach plank position, you're going to unround your upper back, create length through the crown of your head and your heels. Without dropping down to the mat, you're going to bend your elbows, bend your knees, let them hover above the mat. Shift your weight back so your hips are above your heels, and then send those hips back to the sky for downward dog. Your choice here. So you can do the downward dog spiral or go into tabletop and then child's pose. If you're doing the downward dog spiral, go ahead and round that spine, lengthen through plank pose, bend at the elbows and knees, shift your weight back, hips up to downward dog. If you move through tabletop and child's pose, you can meet us back in downward dog. We're all gonna shift our weight forward one more time. Drop our knees to the mat, lower on down. Take a moment here to catch your breath. And then inhale, peel your chest and chin off the mat for cobra. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale one more time, cobra. This time, exhale, tuck your toes, pass through tabletop, hips to the sky, downward dog. Press up onto your toes. We're gonna walk our way towards our hands back to the top of the mat to repeat that flow on the opposite side. Go ahead and roll your spine up. Find your strong mountain pose. Inhale your arms up high. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, reaching through your tailbone and the crown of your head, hands on your shins or knees. Exhale, bend those knees till your hands touch the mat. Send your left leg back long. Hands on the inside of your right foot. Coming into our little runner's lunge here. Take a breath before you drop that knee down. For our low lunge, you can untuck those toes. Option to drop down to your forearms if you want to go into lizard pose, get a deeper stretch in your hips. Tuck that toe back under on the left side so you can lift up your knee, lift up your hips. Send your right leg back to meet your left leg as you come into downward dog. Again, you can choose to move through the downward dog spinal roll. The other option is to drop down into tabletop. Down into child's pose, sinking back on your heels. Up into tabletop. And meeting again in downward dog. Beautiful. All right, let's walk our feet back towards the top of our mat. We're gonna come up this time with a flat back, so squeezing all those muscles that you need to find that strength to come up. Inhale your arms up. Drop your hips back as you squeeze your core and sink into chair pose here. Arms lifted to the sky, chest lifted to the sky. Our tailbone is tucked under, so we're creating length in our lower back here. You can choose how activated you want to be here, sinking lower for a more sympathetic experience, straightening those knees a little bit for a less intense experience. Exhale, straighten those legs, come into a forward fold. Inhaling for our halfway lift. Exhaling, we're going to send our right leg back again, coming into our runner's lunge, making sure our legs are nice and stable here. Before we inhale, our arms up. Legs stay in our lunge position, back heel is lifted. Front leg bent. Beautiful. And we're gonna create a little bit of movement. So if you need to put that back heel down so that you have better balance here, go ahead and do that. Exhale. Open your arms to the side, opposite legs, legs and hands opposite. So right hand to the front, left hand to the back, left leg to the front, right leg to the back. Gaze is going to follow your left hand to the back. Beautiful. We're going to inhale our arms up, gaze towards the sky. Exhale, twist around, stretch long in both directions. One more time, inhale, arms up. Exhale, stretch wide in both directions. And then go ahead and cartwheel both your arms down to the mat, back in our runner's lunge. With both hands firmly on the mat, you can lift your left leg to meet your right leg to come back into downward dog. Again, you have two options here. You can move through tabletop and child's pose, or you can do our rolling downward dog. Finding your own flow, what your body wants, and then meeting all together in downward dog. Go ahead and walk those feet up towards your hands. Rise up, coming into mountain pose. Inhaling those hands up, exhaling, dropping down into chair pose again, sinking those hips down. Holding here, noticing if your legs start to shake or your arms start to shake. exhaling into forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, bend those knees to plant your hands on the mat. We're going to send our left leg back this time, coming into our runner's lunge. Finding stability in your legs. As you inhale, your arms up. You can stay lifted on your back toe, or you can plant that back heel down for extra support. Gaze towards the sky. All right, let's open up. Bring our left hand to the front, right hand to the back as we gaze towards the back on the right side. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, opening and twisting. One more time, inhaling, arms up. Finding your balance as we do this movement and this twist. Exhaling, opening. Cartwheeling your arms back down to the mat to find yourself in your runner's lunge. Sending that right leg back to meet your left. And in downward dog again. Moving through whichever flow you chose. The downward dog roll or tabletop and child's pose. Meeting all together in downward dog. All right, we're all gonna roll forward into plank pose. Drop our knees to the mat and slowly lower our chest down to the mat. Inhale for cobra, lifting your chest, chin off the mat. And exhaling, push up into our tabletop position here. Let's move through a few cat and cows, dropping our belly to the mat, our chin to the sky. Oftentimes we move through this with breath, but try just holding this pose and seeing what happens when you stay here and breathe. Even with your belly stretched out, can you feel the breath, the air, making it all the way to your belly button? Tuck your chin to your chest, tuck your navel to your spine as your back lifts up towards the ceiling. And same thing here, hold this pose for a few breaths. See if you can notice your breath in your belly button, even in this pose. And when you're ready, and only if it feels good, connect your breath to this flow. Breathing in and exhaling from your belly button in each position. Finding a neutral spine, this time looking over your left shoulder towards your left hip as your left hip and shoulder arch towards each other. See if even in this pose you can breathe into your belly button. Return through neutral, look over your right shoulder towards your right hip. Breathe into that belly button. And if it feels good and it's what your body wants to do, tie it to your breath, going to one side on the inhale and the other side on the exhale. Beautiful. All right, let's tuck our toes, press up into downward dog. We're going to walk our hands back up towards the front of our mat to come into mountain pose. From here in mountain pose, let's forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend at the knees to plant our hands on the mat, sending our right leg back first. Coming once again into our runner's lunge. This time we're going to lift up. Plant our back heel down. Left hand towards the front, right hand towards the back. Gaze is towards the front hand as we open up into warrior here. Again, we're going to practice our balance as we move. So inhale, raise your hands to the sky, straighten your front leg. Exhale, return to your lunge, arms wide to the side. Inhaling, straightening, reaching up. Exhaling, reaching to the side. Inhaling up. Exhaling, see if you want to go lower into your lunge here. Last time, reaching up. All right, let go of your hands. Put your hands on top of your left knee to bring your right knee back up to the front of the mat. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling into our forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, planting your hands on the mat, sending that left leg back into our runner's lunge here. Inhaling your upper body up. And exhaling, opening into warrior two. So you're still in a lunge, back heel is down on the mat. Right hand in the direction of your right foot. Gaze is forward. Inhale, straighten that front leg, reach towards the sky. Exhale, bend in the front leg, reach toward the side. Finding your balance as you breathe and move here. Last time, planting both your hands on your right knee to help you bring your left foot up to meet your right foot, coming into mountain pose at the top of your mat. Beautiful. All right, one more time. We're gonna exhale into that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, send our right leg back. This will be our last time in our runner's lunge on our left side. Creating another little balance pose here. Go ahead and plant that right hand directly underneath of you as you open your left hand up to the sky. If it helps with your balance, you can drop that right knee down to the mat. Beautiful. All right, go ahead and plant that left leg back down. Bend that left leg back. Moving through downward dog. One more time, you can choose tabletop then child's pose or downward dog spinal roll. Meeting all together in downward dog before walking our feet up to meet our hands. Inhaling to come up into mountain pose, circling our arms up. Exhaling into our forward fold. Inhale to create length in that halfway lift. Exhale to plant your hands, send your left leg back. You all are doing amazing. This is a extra strength building lesson today. Keep your left hand down on the mat as you bring your right hand up to the sky. Finding that balance. Placing your knee on the mat if you need to. Planting your right hand back down on the mat as you send your right foot back. Coming into downward dog, last chance to choose either tabletop and child's pose or your downward dog spiral roll, spinal roll. Beautiful. So we should all be meeting here in downward dog. And we're actually all going to take a moment to come into child's pose together. So go ahead and drop down into tabletop. Spread your knees to the edge of your mat. Bring your big toes together. Sink back on your heels as you walk your hands forward. You can rest your head on the mat. And just take a few breaths here. Today's flow had a lot of strength building poses to help create that sympathetic nervous system, strength activation, energy, and see if we could balance it with a little bit of gentleness of the parasympathetic nervous system and our breath. Go ahead and press up into tabletop. We're going to come over onto our backs. Well, let's come to a seated position first. We're going to stretch out our legs. So stretch them long in front of you. Go ahead and inhale your hands up. Imagine creating length. Create length from your hands, create length from the top of your head, create length in your spine. And as you reach up, hinge at the hips forward, keeping that long line. When you can't hinge at the hips anymore, then you can collapse down, add some rounding to your spine to help you go the rest of the way down. Reaching for your toes, for your knees, whatever's closer. Beautiful. Go ahead and inhale up. We're going to do the same thing with legs wide. So go ahead and stretch your legs to either side of your mat. Inhale those arms up, creating that length in your hands, in your spine, in your head, hinging forward at the hips in a straight line as far as you can go, and then rounding over to help you go a little bit farther. Walking your way back to that seated position. Let's go ahead and come down to our backs. And you can begin by bringing your knees to your chest. So a lot of those lunges, lifting our upper body up, can create some strength in our lower back. And so we just want to give a little bit of appreciation and gratitude, a little bit of a floor massage. You can roll your knees around, rock side to side. And when you're ready, you can let your legs lie long. You can choose to do a few, like a minute or so or 30 seconds of a breath practice we learned today. The abdominal breathing, where you pull your navel in as you breathe in rapidly, navel pumping. You can count and lengthen your exhale, or you can return to the nostril breathing. When you're ready, you can let the breathing practices go and just enter Shavasana, a state of stillness where you can watch your mind and thoughts come and go. Any sensations can just come and go. My voice will fade out, and I'll let you know when it is time to wake up and return to your day. All right. Finding a little bit of movement in some part of your body. Maybe it's your breath. Maybe it's your fingers. Maybe it's your toes. Maybe it's rocking side to side. Rolling to one side and sitting up. Mm. Finding a way to show yourself a little bit of gratitude for today's practice, a little bit of thankfulness. Thank you, everybody, for joining again today. It's so lovely to have so many of the same people come back. Um, and yeah, next month we are going to get started with some somatic stuff, some nervous system regulation. And I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite things to talk about and to work with. So I'm looking forward to October's flows, and I hope to see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.